the viewpoint about where Phenom comes from, how media landscape is changing with AI, and what is our contribution to the overall equation, is what our thought process is. Okay, so everybody's comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, fine.
This is audible? Okay. Okay.
Brightness
Okay, fine.
Okay. So Phenom has started, like I'll give my story. I grew up in, I'm born and brought up in Machipatnam, which is in Krishna district. But like, and then I went to US 25 years back, started a company. But when we were starting a company, we thought about one thing, a purpose, helping 1 billion people find their right work. So the most important critical thing is the right work. The primary reason for this is, how do you find the right work for the people, which is super critical. Because there is a difference between just doing a job and doing the right job, where you are connected, evolved, and you think you're doing your greatest work of your life. So we constantly think about how do we help people. And for that, we use technology. And now, how do we use technology? In which companies? We have over 100 GCCs who use our product. These 100 GCCs are everywhere across the globe. So these are companies who use our product today internationally. It's not just in India, they use everywhere. But in India, this is a very authentic infrastructure. What we build, how they use is different. Now, work is everywhere. Work is actually very dynamic. What does that mean? What we should think about is, work is divided in 5 zones. What are these 5 zones? There is zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you take 1 and 2, they're more like frontline workers. Retail jobs, frontline jobs, anything to do with delivery, logistics, those kinds of jobs. 4 and 5 are knowledge workers. Nurses, like software engineers, sales people, all that kind of stuff, or researchers and all that. Now what happens is, we get over 50 million jobs a year in our product. On top of it, we get over 1 billion people use our product every year. This is the infrastructure what we run. Now here is the most important part. There is a magic loop of how talent works. There is automation, there is also intelligence, and there is an experience. So how do you automate? How do you make it intelligent? How do you make it experiential? Now here is where it changes. The frontline jobs need extreme automation. Think about hiring for Swiggy. If you're hiring for Swiggy jobs, you can automate 90% without a human talking. Whereas if you're hiring a nurse or a software engineer, you cannot do that level of an automation. You should be very intelligent in understanding who these people are, what their skill sets are, and how they work. Now, zone 3 falls in between. Now, what happens is, the last 30 years, software just moved people from one spot to another. So what we really came up with is, how do we change this with intelligence? The AI has actually scaled right now at a different equation. What does the scale really mean? The scale is actually transitioning the overall talent journey for every company. This is a talent transformation we have never seen before. So I'll give you an example. So if you take a company like Thermo Fisher, which is a pharmaceutical company, or IDFC, which is a bank, or if you take a company like DHL, how they hire and how they retain people, how they onboard people, fundamentally changes. How do they change? They change based on which location they're hiring, how effectively they're hiring. Now, if the change happens at that level, what happens to the jobs in the AI world is very, very important. Now, let me give you this example. How many of you were typists in your life? Only one. Have you worked as a typist before? What happened to that job? Is the typist job gone? How many of you use computer today? Almost everyone, right? Do you type? So is typist job exist or it's gone?
Exist.
So the point is, typist as a job is not necessary, but typing became a norm. That's what is happening with technology. What's happening is, before a laptop, a typist is a job. After a laptop in everybody's hand, typist is not a job. Typing is a task. That is the most important transition what is happening in AI. What we used to think as a job won't survive. It becomes a task that everybody can do. Now, typing survived, the typist didn't. The same thing will happen with AI. There are so many jobs which will become tasks, but it will create new jobs which we never thought. We're in the middle of this transition, which is very, very new. Now, let me give you an example of what happened before. Somebody used to dictate and used to type. We transitioned, and now everybody is using typing. This transition is what we are in the middle of with AI. Now, India has over 500 million workers. Every year, India produces 100 million graduates, undergrad, PGs, PhDs. Not 100, 10 million. We have 500 million total workforce, 560 million. 10 million graduates every year. 10 million is the size of some of the countries in the world. Those many graduates we have. But if you really look at how many people are turning into retail workers, Swiggies and all, that's over 12 million. That's a frontline job. Knowledge worker jobs, we have over 10 million. So on average, India is getting close to 20 million people really getting into job families every year. With AI, their tasks are fundamentally switching. Like the typists don't exist anymore. Like, how many of you thought like